APC today made it clear on the date it will hold its long-awaited national convention. We now know for sure from the horse's mouth it is February the 26th. And the anticipated National Assembly members' resumption is here in the midst of the clamor for prompt action on the Electoral Bill 2021. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Lagos, in Abuja. Tonight, there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot we've lined up for you. But our plan tonight is for you to not only enjoy the ride, but also to be able to take one or two things away from the show tonight. So let's begin the journey, shall we? We begin tonight by telling you about the meeting with the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and the political parties in Abuja as part of the Commission's quarterly meetings. Professor Yakubu reiterated the date for the conduct of primaries for the Ekiti and Osun governorship elections, which is now scheduled to hold towards the mid of this year. The INEC chairman says party primaries for the Ekiti state governorship election are scheduled for 4th to 29th January 2022. For the Osun State governorship election, primaries will hold from the 16th February to 12th of March 2022. On the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, currently before the National Assembly, the Commission chair says he is encouraged by the Senate President's assurance to give priority attention to the bill when the National Assembly reconvenes from its recess, which it did today, and the commitment by the President to assent to the bill as soon as the issue of mode of primaries by political parties is resolved. He said INEC is looking forward to a speedy passage of the bill, which according to him is crucial to preparations for future election. Professor Yakubu adds that as soon as it is signed into law, the Commission will quickly release the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general election based on the new law. And let's take you now to the presidential villa where Senate President Ahmed Lawan has met with President Muhammadu Buhari earlier this evening. Governor Bello of Niger State also met with the president, and he said communities are still paying terrorist levies for protection. He adds that the state only has 4,000 policemen. He is, however, optimistic that with the current level of intervention, temporary respite would come in 2 weeks. Take a listen to Governor Bello.
If you look at the states, you look at the number of communities in the forest, the local government, it is practically impossible to have a very strong, robust police division in every community. So we have to contend with managing, mixing military with police, having to move them around on motorcycles, in vehicles, or what have you. In some cases, they have to go on boats. Anytime you deploy military to a distressed place, they have informants telling the bandits that troops are on their way. So by the time, most times when the troops get there, they don't see anyone. So they're very elusive. We're dealing with a different kind of threat. But like I said, now that this entire state has been dominated by both military, air force, and police, I am very optimistic in the next 2 weeks we'll get some relief.
That's Governor Bello of Niger State. It wasn't only him who visited the president. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan, after his visit, has revealed that President Muhammadu Buhari has not directed anyone in his administration to implement the removal of petroleum subsidy. After a meeting with the president in his office, Senator Lawan disclosed that he met with the president to convey the concerns of his constituents on various issues, including the proposed removal of subsidy. Take a listen to the Senate President.
I'm happy to inform Nigerians that Mr. President never told anyone that the petroleum subsidy should be removed. I know and I agree that the subsidy is very heavy, but I think we must never transfer the burden to the citizens. I believe that we need to look at the quoted figure of maybe 100 million liters that people claim we are consuming. Is it I'm paying either under recoveries or subsidy? Is it really 100 million liters per day? How on earth are we consuming that? We need to look at this critically and see how we can find the truth. Because I am not convinced that within the boundaries of Nigeria we are consuming 100 million liters.
Yet again, this very elusive matter of subsidy still comes back to the farm banner, which, of course, someone will wonder that may stay with us on top of national discourse this year. It will be one of those interesting items for discussion. Well, that's not our focus tonight. Our focus will be one, the APC National Convention, the controversies. Now, we were anticipating the resumption of the National Assembly members over the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Now they've resumed. They're speaking about it. We assess what they've said, their action, how prompt their action should be. And you heard what the chairman of INEC said, that they are waiting for the amendment of the bill so that they can start preparing for 2023. It is urgent, and time is of the essence. So, but before we get into that discussion, let's now get to see some of your political roundup stories.
President Muhammadu Buhari says the country can produce what we eat to ensure sustainable food security. He made the statement at the unveiling of the mega rice pyramids in Abuja, where he notes that the initiative is a testament to show that the Anchor Borrower program is working.
I am indeed delighted that the Anchor Borrowers program continues to receive commendations since its introduction 6 years ago, as it has become one of the reference points in the administration's agricultural revolution effort.
Governor Bello Mutuwali of Zamfara State is urging members of the State Executive Council to double their efforts to combat banditry and place the state on the path of prosperity. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the State Executive Council retreat in Abuja, he says his administration, which is in its second year, plans to multiply efforts to build a new Zamfara state. Protests have continued to trail Saturday's ward congresses in Ekiti State to elect 3 ad hoc delegates for the governorship primary of the PDP scheduled to hold later this month. Top aspirants and their various supporters are asking that the Congress be nullified, as it was allegedly tailored to favor only a group loyal to a former governor. New tribe group made up of different support groups and professional bodies converged in Kano State, northwest Nigeria, on January 15th to push forward their call for a new Nigeria, irrespective of tribe and religion. As to who they support for the next president of Nigeria in 2023, supporting Vice President Yemi Osinbajo they believe will be good for the country, for continuity and sustainability. Worried by the growing state of insecurity in the country, especially as the 2023 general elections approach, Shina Pella, who also doubles as a traditional ruler in Yoruba land, has begun a peace tour across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. He started the peace tour from Minna, Niger State, where he met with the former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, in his hilltop residence. The Alaafin of Oyo and the Ooni of Ife both mandated Shina Pella in his capacity to embark on a peace tour across the 6 geopolitical zones to mobilize the youth, traditional rulers, and notable personalities against violence and insecurity ahead of the 2023 general elections. Speaking with journalists in Minna shortly after he met with the former military president, he explained the need to promote peace and prosperity in the land, especially in states that have been badly hit by banditry and insecurity, which necessitated the peace tour.
Thank you so much. Then you've been served with your political roundup stories. So, let's get at it, everyone. The APC now has a date for its national convention. There's been rumors, debate, controversies, argument on whether this national convention will hold, but there are signals that it will happen, and the date has now been fixed. 26th of February 2022. Yes. This was reviewed and confirmed by the national chairman of the Caretaker and Convention Planning Committee of the APC, Governor May Malabuni, albeit a very short revelation that he gave at a conference in Abuja today. Take a listen to Governor Buni.
Let me also assure you that the party shall reciprocate this gesture by supporting women and youth in their political aspirations and to realize their political dreams. We look forward to having more women contesting in the forthcoming National Convention of the party from February 26, 2022, and the general election. Now, as we approach the convention and moving closer to the next general election, I wish to remind you of your progressive roles in supporting progressive-minded leaders aspiring for various offices for the betterment of our country.
Governor Buni was speaking at a national women conference of the women in the APC in Abuja. The secretary of the caretaker committee is also explaining a little bit more on the date that has now been agreed upon for the national convention of the APC. Take a listen to Senator Hakman Oduere.
Caretaker committee stroke the extraordinary convention committee, they have asked me to announce the date of convention. The date of convention authoritatively as mandated by the committee is fixed on the 26th of February. And we also consider subcommittees for the convention. Details will be given shortly. The names, chairman and secretary and deputy secretary and other members of the committee will be announced shortly to you.
It's now no longer in the realm of speculation or rumor. It's now for real. So, APC is now running against time because February 22 from today, today is the 18th, just they have about 4 weeks to the convention. That means they now need to move fast. That is going to form part of our conversation. Just hold it on one hand. The nation has anticipated the resumption of the members of the National Assembly over the Electoral Bill amendment, and today they are back in their seats in the Green Chambers. The House of Representatives is set to commence the amendment of the provision of direct primaries in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, made this known during the resumption of legislative proceedings today in the National Assembly. Take a listen to the Speaker of the House.
I remain convinced that the proposal for direct primary elections is valuable for building accountability in our political system. But we must not allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. Therefore, the House will reintroduce the amendment tomorrow, and we will work quickly to address the mitigating concerns, pass the bill, and send it back to His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari for assent. This is a matter of concern, as it appears the version sent to the President differs from what is circulating in the public domain. However, in December of last year, I appointed a technical team to look into the issue. I expect to have their report within the next day or two. We are left to question how those parties have thus far managed their affairs, including conducting congresses and primary elections, whether by direct or indirect.
So that is the Green Chamber, the lower chamber of the National Assembly. Are they in sync with the red chamber, the upper chamber, the Senate? Are they in sync? Well, in the Senate, it appears a plan to consult with their colleagues in the lower chambers. Let me allow you to listen to the Senate President, Hamel Lawan, on that.
Distinguished colleague, the Senate postponed discussions on the consideration of a response of Mr. President on the Electoral Act 2010 Amendment Bill to enable us to consult with our counterparts in the House of Representatives and also consult our constituents. Like we all know, the Senate and indeed the National Assembly worked so hard on the bill. Having consulted, the Senate will expeditiously look into the issue.
All right, you heard the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan. They are going to consult. It doesn't look to me that it is as direct and as authoritative as what we heard from the House Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila. The Senate President was telling us that they will consult with the House Speaker. There seems to be a few things from his point of view to tidy. But the Speaker does look like certain of how and the direction in which they will go. What does this mean? The urgency in which civil society organizations, eminent Nigerians have put into this conversation, will that bill go through that rigor and that urgency? Let's take a look. I have two experienced lawmakers, a lawyer and a full-blown politician, someone who is eyeing to be the governor in Kaduna State. Let's take a look at what this means. I'm being joined tonight by two former members of the National Assembly. Incidentally, well, it looks like deja vu. The last time that I had any of them here, we were here together in the same seat, sitting in the same posture and the same position. Senator Shehu Sani and Senator Ita Enang. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you very much.
It does look, when we have knotty issues, we call upon both of you, and incidentally, the last time, both of you were here. So thank you so much. I appreciate your coming.
Thanks for inviting us.
With the experience that you've had that you have in the National Assembly, that's the reason why we thought it was very good for us to have you. But first and foremost, let's touch on the issue of the convention of your party. You have between now the 18th and the February 22 to conduct the National Convention. If my memory serves me right, within the procedure of conducting that kind of process, you need to set up subcommittees. You need to screen the logistics. Is that a good timing, the duration between now and then?
I'm believing that all that had been taken care of, and there is also the question of the zonal congresses to produce some another level of officers. And all this must have been done, and it had been done, and I'm convinced that we are ready, because there has been quite some heat on the convention and extraordinary, the caretaker and extraordinary convention planning committee on the need to conduct the convention. I think this has been done, and I also believe that the statutory notices that has to be served on the Independent National Electoral Commission before the date of the convention, because you have to notify INEC a certain number of days before the date of convention. You have to negotiate, notify other agencies. All that has been taken account of, and nothing will stop the convention. Members of the party are very anxious to have the convention, so that if the Electoral Act comes into effect, the party will not be caught unawares.
Does it not look like a stampede, or something like a knee-jerk reaction to the clamor in the party? Because a lot of people want the convention to happen, but realistically speaking, Senator, the 4 weeks, 3 weeks, is it enough to plan a national convention to bring everybody to Abuja?
The party caretaker committee has been in place, so they are not just going to begin the planning of the convention now. They have been in place for close to 2 years now, almost 2 years now. They were meant for 6 months. They added another one, and there were some legislative questions, legal questions as to whether the extension granted has legal foundation and all that. All that we're trying to overcome. So within all this period, they were planning the convention. So they are not going to begin the planning just from today that they have announced the dates.
26th of February.
No, they're not beginning.
I'm saying no. Yeah. I'm going. No, I'm not going to.
26th of February.
26th of February is a date.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the question I'm going to ask next is, how crucial would this election be for your party, considering that you went from one crisis, the Oshiomhole era, to a temporary measure? Now you are going into these, and you have a primaries just a few weeks after the convention. The pressure is on your party. You want to sustain, you want to remain in power. The PDP wants you out of power. Your party is under pressure, isn't it?
Our party is not under pressure at all, because the party is working according to the law, one, according to its plans, two, and in accordance with the dictates of what is right in running a political party. So we don't have a challenge. All we had was the need to have a proper Congress conducted. And where there are challenges, the conciliation committee is working on bringing all the parties together. So our party is not under any challenge at all, and it's not under any pressure.
You're speaking like a lawyer party man and like a politician.
Yes, we have issues, but those issues are domestic. Those issues are family affair.
Yeah,
which we are going to,
I was waiting for you to say the family affair.
It's a family affair.
Because that is a popular one.
Yes, it's a family affair.
But before I bring Senator Shehu Sani here, because he has a very good understanding of the running of the APC, and his party has said that your party is not capable of putting together a national convention. But
I know he wouldn't say that because he knows our capacity and our capability, and he knows where he is now and the challenges they have. But that's not for today. Is that what you're going to say,
Senator Sani?
Yeah.
Because your party has criticized the APC of not being capable of conducting a national convention. But they fixed the date now. What's your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, you see, APC is a merger of people from different political tendencies, ideas, philosophies, and history. And then the differences is now self-evident in the sense that the party has clusters of power. And the fear of the convention is which of these clusters is going to control the brain, the focus, the heart of the party. So what you see within the APC is simply their inability to manage themselves as a ruling party and also be able to restore order. APC has no crisis-solving mechanism, and that is why right from the beginning, it had all these crises that has generated and landed it to where it is today. They're supposed to have done their convention a long time ago. But even this 26, I believe that it may not be certain that they will have that convention in that 26.
I'm not sure if there is going to be an election on that day, because I understand that INEC probably had fixed a by-election on that day. But that's for your party to deal with. But, Senator, I guess that was one of the reasons, because when you said they don't have the mechanism to resolve their crisis, you went to see the president at some point when you had issue. At some point, you couldn't find a solution, and you had to get to the exit door. You see that the pressure on the APC now, your party is screaming you want to chase them out of prominence. But if they get it right, does that in any way give you as an opposition party a problem? Because I know what you are working on is for them not to get their acts right.
Well, if you go through the history of political parties in Africa, particularly in Nigeria in the last 22 years, the PDP lost power in 2015 as a result of an implosion within the realm of the party. And so we are expecting the same thing to happen with the APC. If you remember, there was a walkout during the PDP convention, and those people were let go, and then they became the final burial of the party. So we are hoping that by 26th of February, there will be a walkout of that convention when some of these clusters within power have lost their places within the realm. So it is not, it's expected that by 26, there will be no APC after 26, and then the PDP will take over power.
Does that look like a prophecy or a prediction? Because in football, you predict. And these days, you have a lot of spiritualists who make prophecies and they say they see the future, but I mean, they are football predictions. Is that a prediction for you or something that you know for sure that will happen?
Well, I'm not a psychic or a soothsayer or a prophet, but what I know is that the symptoms of an implosion is very clear. You have all sort of, there is the Tinubu side, then you have the Fayemi, Mechi side, and then you have the president with the Badaru and Buni, and who is a nice person. He's managing the party from what I can see, but the crisis is beyond him. Yeah. And then others. So to me, I believe that even
the president cannot fix as the leader of the party.
I don't think the president has has been so active in the last 6 years in terms of solving problems of the party. And if not, many of us couldn't have lived. Let me tell you what, Vadim. There was crisis in Kano, and it was left to fester until the like of Konkosu pulled out of the party. You have it in Kaduna, you have it in other states. So what I expected could have been to have put his feet on the ground when you have crisis like this, and sit down and address these issues. But as far as the APC, it's just an autopilot. They're just moving, and the situation takes care of itself. And I hope that by 26th of February, my friend here will think of coming back to his former party.
I think I want to.
Is it possible that you go back home?
No. Now, let me
Akwa Ibom is a PDP state,
okay.
So
we're holding it in trust, and we're taking it over.
We hope that you will come back to.
Now, I want the PDP to be realistic, because what my brother has said is that they are not prepared to contest election on their own merit, strength, and character. That they are winning, that they are counting on implosion and trouble in APC. That is how they intend to take over. No, we're not going to give you that chance. What we've done as a party is that, why a lot of these things appear to have festered is that we had a team which went to 2012, 2013, and looked at the problems that PDP had, which were not properly handled, and which led to a kind of implosion, which scattered PDP. And yes, APC came strong, and it was able to take over. Now, we will not allow that kind of situation to happen again. So don't count on the weakness of APC to come up. Count on the strength of your manifesto and what you're able to do.
Senator,
we are coming up.
Senator,
we are coming up.
I mean,
on
what they say about the weather, that in the morning, you can almost predict what happens in the evening.
No,
I mean, the question is that when you see some of these scenarios play out in the crisis leading up to a national convention, and that was the Bamanga took us of this word. The president, former president Jonathan of this world, and the vice president, we're optimistic. I mean, in months like this, leading up to the convention, until we saw a major walkout of the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Rotimi Amechi at the convention. I was personally there on the ground covering the event when we saw them walk out. It culminated into what we now saw as the new PDP and a merger into the APC. So now the question is, your party has some of the symptoms, as Senator Shehu Sani. How are you able? Because one of the ways to resolve it is when you have a leader who comes in and helps to douse the situation.
I'm sure that I'm confident that you are aware, he is aware, of the steps that His Excellency Mr. President has taken. At every step that the party wants to go, they go to brief Mr. President, and they have his nod. They brief the other leaders, and they have their nod. And when they seem to have an issue which they appear to have gone so divisive, they also have an internal mechanism. Part of the delay in holding the convention was to galvanize the entirety of the different families, what he calls and what is actual fact are the tendencies within the party. There is the ACN tendency. There is the CPC tendency. There is the ANPP tendency. There are different families that came together, and there is the new PDP tendency, about 4 or 5 blocks. Now, the essence of what we've been trying to do was to make sure that these blocks don't just exist still within the party, but that these blocks are able to be galvanized into one political party.
All right. No, Senator, so because we're due for a break.
What we've done is to make sure that this tendencies no more occur. That is why we've opened the field that every party can declare for every office. No. It doesn't matter where And
in
we are
the,
conscious.
in the next few days,
Thank you.
maybe it will be clearer when we see the screening
Yes,
committee
yes.
and other committee, because it does look like for those who have come out that for the national chairmanship of the APC, they are almost all of them are from the north, from Ali Modu Sharif to Senator Musa to Senator Tanko Makura.
Part of the,
but there's still that contention whether it is the northeast or the north central. That has not been resolved. But we'll take a breather. I will get your closing moment. Don't forget, one of the agenda is also to talk about the electoral bill. But we'll take a breather, everyone, and we get to speak more with Senators Itayanang and Shehu Sani. And also, we turn our attention after we wrap up with them to Honorable Stella Okotete, the APC national woman leader, on the state of affairs of the APC. They had a convention today, the voice of women in the ruling party and the future of the APC. The women are speaking up. Stay with us, everyone. Much more on the program. We have so much more to deal with tonight on the program. Such a little time we have left on the program, but we're going to deal with those issues. Let's go into the business of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the expectations of Nigerians on the National Assembly when they resume today. Let's get back to my panel tonight, Senator Itayanang and Senator Shehu Sani. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'll come to you, Senator Shehu Sani. I would have loved to ask you that if your party survived the primary, if you survive the National Convention, survive the primaries, then it will be, the Armageddon probably will not happen as some people have predicted. But I think that's another talk for another day. But let's focus on the electoral bill. Senator, did you expect what happened today on the floor based on the kind of reactions Nigerians gave when the president turned down the assent today and passed it on to the National Assembly? And people were expecting that when they resume today, there will be an urgent reaction to it. Was it what you were expecting?
Well, you see, the whole idea of parliamentary action to address the electoral challenges we have in Nigeria through amendment was informed by the events that had happened in the past elections. How do we craft and perfect our elections that will have a semblance of credibility, transparency, and integrity? And as such, the idea of amending the act comes into play. Now, the most novel input in that was the electronic transmission of result and direct primaries. Despite people have been raising issues about the character and the conduct of the present National Assembly, but they have earned praises by being able to pass a bill that will make it possible for INEC to transmit results directly and also for political parties to conduct direct primaries that will expunge the influence of money. But now, the bill being sent to the president and then returned, it appears that the whole two chambers were caught unaware, and they virtually have no plan B of what to do. So the bill was sent back, and then there were issues that came out of it. Some said they have to go back to their constituents and seek public opinion, and some said they will need to do this, do that, and then the issues of the bill before the House of Reps and that of the Senate differs, and this is where we are. To me, I believe they should know, both the National Assembly and the President, if there is any legacy they will leave behind for this country, is to let us have a law, a new act, electoral act, that will make the 2020 elections better than that of 2019. If they fail in this, they fail in everything.
If you were on that floor today, assuming you were still in the red chambers, what would you have said?
To me, immediately the president returned the bill to us, I will raise my hand, and hopefully I'm being called upon. I will call for the veto of the presidential objection.
You think that the minority or the opposition voice on the floor in the National Assembly, as it is presently constituted, have that number?
Well, you asked me of what I can do, but I can tell you that I will raise my hand up and demand to speak and demand that the bill should be passed by the National Assembly. That is it. So it doesn't matter whether it goes with the majority, but as far as my conviction and conscience is concerned, I believe that having a bill with a direct electronic transmission of result and also direct primaries will address a lot of our electoral challenges as we have as a country.
I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now and right on the spot, Senator, because you have been a liaison between the president and the National Assembly. Yeah. You have also been in the National Assembly. Yeah. So you've been in the presidency, you've been on both sides at different times. So in this sense, for a president that rejected this similar bill on the second time within the last 3 years, how does it come to you? Because public perception is one thing. Because when one thing happens repeatedly, then it becomes like a trend. How does this come to you as a chieftain of the APC, considering the fact that people will say you have the majority in the executive and you're the majority in the National Assembly?
Now, I'll speak as a liaison, as it were, the experience I had. I'll speak as a lawyer. I'll speak as a legislator. Now, this bill has not been rejected twice. It has been, the assent has been declined about 4 times, because in the 8th Assembly, I think it was 3 times that it went. Because first time, it had so many issues, drafting errors and so on. Second time, when there was the need for amendment, the president raised issues as to what were the deficiencies. What the National Assembly did was to correct those deficiencies. After correcting the deficiencies, they sent the corrected version of deficiencies only to the president. They did not match the sections that Mr. President had objections to with the ones that that were earlier passed. So it was as if telling the president, this is the corrections you needed. I have corrected it. Merge it with the original one we gave you. Now, that was the second time. The third time, there were other issues, and of course, it became too close to election. And there is this matter which I've always raised to the National Assembly, that Nigeria is a state party to certain state protocols, conventions, and treaties that on election management and election management bodies, that when it is too close to an election and you pass an electoral act, it will be difficult for the political parties, the participants in the election, to be able, and the election management bodies, even the civil to follow to comply with it, an election will be thwarted. Now, on the where we are now on the bill, it will not be appropriate for the legislature to think of overriding Mr. President's
veto.
Yes, it will not be appropriate because, one, it will be difficult. Mr. President has stated the reasons, and even these reasons are constitutional. Even when this bill was passed, I share opinion that I am not for or against direct or indirect primaries, but it should be the business of each of the political parties to determine the mode of the conduct of its own primaries. So what Mr. President has said to the National Assembly in withholding assent is, look at this section. We cannot dictate for every political party because the Constitution has given each political party the right to have its own constitution and its own rules. And it is not every political party that has the same capacity and ability. So Mr. President is right. So what the National Assembly should do now, I listened to the Honorable Speaker, Bajabi Amila Esquire, the learned speaker. I also listened to His Excellency the Senate President. Fortunately, at the time that the bill had the 3 declines from Mr. President, the Senate President was the leader of the Senate. His Excellency Ahmad Lawan was the leader of the Senate. And the Speaker now, His Excellency Femi Bajame, was the leader of the House. They were the persons presenting the issues. I was the liaison between the presidency and the National Assembly, the Senate. Now, we all had these issues. So what I urge them to do now is, listening to the president, the Senate, the Speaker, he said that there is a version that the public has, which is different from what they may have passed. He wonders how that happens. Now, I share opinion on how that happens and how should be corrected. the members should have the vote and proceedings. And the vote and proceedings of the Senate and the vote and proceedings of the House on the day that the harmonized bill was passed should be the only document that is taken as the authentic and should be the one that advises the clerk to the National Assembly and the clerk to forward to Mr. President. If they have this version, which is, if they have the vote on proceedings of the Senate and the House being one document, that is what the clerk will have, and that is what the public will have. The public will have certain documents, which is perhaps the committee report, and persons who have committee report, you are familiar with the process, will take it and share with the public as if that is what the National Assembly has passed. The National Assembly should just avoid that situation.
One would be wondering how things become so messy, and it does look like there's no synergy between the National Assembly.
It's not messy with respect.
It does look a lot of the controversy.
The public taking the document which they are not supposed to take.
But I'm
not
even saying the synergy and the
take.
harmonization between the National Assembly and the executive. But let's wrap up because we just have about 60 seconds. I'd like to get your final thought on this issue. What is the way forward from your point of view?
Well, first of all, from what I can see from the statement of Lawal and Bajamiela, I think they lack the courage to do what is right. And the courage to do what is right is to override the president and approve the bill. First of all, when they passed that bill, the comment that came from them was that they have taken power back to Nigerians. And then the president rejected this bill. And then they just don't know what to do. What Bajamiela and Lawan say, just semantics. They have no concrete plan or what to do. Right. Nigerians need a credible electoral process. And already they have a bill which Nigerians were happy with. Right. So if Nigerians accepted this bill, why should Mr. President oppose it? If the president opposes it, the next thing Bajamiela and Lawan should do, let them have the courage. Right. Override him and approve that together.
We're totally out of time, but I'll give Senator Itayanan 10 seconds. I don't know how you want to do it. Your final thought.
My final thought is that the National Assembly is right, Senate and House, to reconsider the bill and look at the offensive or objectionable provisions and then pass it before forwarding to Mr. President. They also have to look at issues of drafting, referencing, and cross-referencing because the president or a governor cannot correct anything. So if you have anything wrong there, it could be because the president cannot add to anything and cannot delete
55 seconds now.
So, Mr. President, the National Assembly should just reconsider, pass, and forward to Mr. President, and should do editing, re-editing, and further scrutiny of the bill.
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Senator Itayanan, Senator Shehu Sani, thank you so much, for coming
Thank
tonight.
you very much.
We still have one more business to go tonight, and we're looking at the role of the women in Nigeria's politics, especially the ruling All Progressives Congress. The women in the APC have today gathered to discuss the state of the affairs of the party, the role of women, and the future of the party. Let me allow you to listen to some of the speakers who will share their view at that event.
I would like to plead with the chairman that we should make this a policy convention. A policy convention where we can specifically take one by one all those aspects of life that our people want to know, what we have done in the last 6 years, what we're still going to do in the next roughly 17 months left to our government, and how we will consolidate on that by ensuring that we elect another All Progressives Congress president in 2023.
In governmental programs, and I think this is important for this conference to reflect on, millions of women have been included by programs that have been initiated and executed by this government. But millions more need to be included, because the challenge is not even about inclusion, it's to include quick enough. So the conference should reflect on what we can do to take the commitment of Mr. President, take commitment of his wife, Her Excellency, and ensure that we fund programs, more programs that will further mobilize more women into the economic liberation that has been started by the revolution of this government.
Let me now introduce you to my guest tonight on that subject matter, who is one of the brains behind that event which heard today. In some sense, there are a lot of women who gathered there from the APC. Honorable Stella Okotete, APC woman leader. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, and good evening.
Good evening. How prepared is the APC for the National Convention? Let's start with that, because that seems to be the food that is very hot in the cooler, isn't it?
We're very prepared, and I can tell you that the Critical Committee will leave no stone behind in ensuring that we have a peaceful and a successful convention.
Do you fear that women are probably left behind in the scheme of things?
I don't think I share in that position as we speak, because coming from our congresses across the country, we've been able to increase the number of women in the party system. And that's the best way to start the visibility of women in politics. Today we have women who are chairmen of ward committees. We have women who are vice chair at local governments, and we also have women who are senatorial chairs and deputy chairs in the state working committee. I'm hopeful that we'll definitely do more going into the convention, and that's why we're gathered, to review and strategize for our convention to get more women elected into the NWC and the organs of our party.
What came out to you strongly today as an outcome of that conversations, the conversations you had today?
The women are ready to support growth and development of our country, not as praise singers anymore, but as part and parcel of the developmental process of government.
So what resolution did you make?
Tomorrow, we have another outing tomorrow where we'll be concluding our resolutions. But one of it is that we want to see more women come out for positions in the National Assembly.
That's your agenda?
That's one of our agenda. We also want to see that we have a trust fund in place at from the All Progressive Congress for women, to support women in leadership training, skill development, and also support, the funding process of their electionary visibility. We're also, a part of our agenda also is to see that as a political party, we get more Nigerian women interested in politics and, stop the process of selling votes, but coming out in our numbers to vote for credibility and, strong candidates that would support growth and give us the dividends of democracy.
So let's look at the National Convention. There's a lot of controversies that have trailed the event that's now been slated for the 26th of February. What is your biggest fear, based on what people are saying on the street and some of the members of your party? What are your biggest fears that you think need to be addressed urgently?
Okay, I sit as a member of the Critical Committee, and so I'm not aware of the issues, being peddled. I'll call them rumors, being peddled by enemies of the progressive. The party, being the ruling party, is positioning itself for the convention to see that we have an elected National Working Committee to prepare us for the election. So I don't have any fear. Instead, I have expectations to see that, we win elections across all the 36 states. Or I think we have about 30 states or 32 states having elections in 2023. And also that we win elections at the national level. But beyond that we have more women, 108 women, represent us from the APC at the National Assembly. So instead of fear, I see possibilities. And I say that, yes, we will have a peaceful convention, very peaceful one. Because
for those who are accusing the Caretaker Committee, which you belong, of the sit-tight syndrome, and you are part of it?
There was actually no sit-tight syndrome. Instead, we're getting ourselves prepared to do a convention that will be peaceful.
But I mean, it was you had a job to do for 6 months. You've been doing it for almost 2 years.
As a ruling party of the biggest country in Africa, you don't expect us to work with some time. The timing arrangement of of the system.
Didn't you see this when the NEC was giving you the the job?
As we got
that it wasn't something that you could do in 6 months?
As we got to do the job, we noticed that there was need to increase our numbers, and so we went into registering our members and new members, which we successfully did. And we saw the need for us to increase the APC states, which we've also done by getting 2 new states into our fold. We also saw the need to increase our number in the National Assembly. You have members at the Senate and at the Red House who have come to the party. We also saw need for us to, we reward the Nigerian public to believe in what we are manifesto and believe in the party system. And so we've done that. So actually, that was what kept us on. And now we're ready to conclude
to relinquish
the process.
power back
We're not
to the
relinquishing. We are concluding the process.
That's awesome.
No,
that's one of your members.
We have a stronger,
I've had some of your members on the program here.
We have a stronger.
Who sat right in the same chair. Who said, "Look, the caretaker committee doesn't want to go."
We need to check their membership because we have a stronger party now.
So you question their membership?
Yes, we need to question their membership. We have a stronger party.
The voices
now.
of dissent in
we
your
have
party.
A stronger party now. We have a party today that has hosted the largest women conference, not jamboree, conference of women from 36 states to forge a new cause for the Nigerian women. So I think there's really nothing to be scared of.
Apart from the position of the woman leader in your party, have you been able to secure the confidence of the party to give women another seat on the table?
Yes, and I think we'll get that done.
What position is that?
We're still consulting, and we'll conclude tomorrow. We'll let Nigerians know what we'll be running for at the convention.
I'm one of the E for she.
Thank
and
you.
I believe that women should be given brilliant, very awesome women in politics, in the private sector. But it gets to a point in time when you need to give them a voice and they don't get it. So, and I believe that in politics, women, if you look at the numbers at the election, women voters are more than the men. But at the end of the day, they vote more men into office. So if women can vote, they should also be voted for. I do think that should be obtainable.
That's why we've gathered.
So if you have almost 20 positions in the NWUC, how many of those seats do you think that women should have?
From our outing tomorrow, we'll be able to, spill out what exactly we'll be going out for at the convention. But I can assure you and assure the party members as well as Nigerians that the APC will definitely give more women more roles of leadership and give us the necessary visibility to support economic growth and development of Nigeria.
I'm bringing this up again, probably also as, when you repeat things, it's either you're not getting the right answer or for emphasis. Okay. In the PDP, the similar clamor when they were going to hold their national convention, that they wanted another position outside the woman leader. And I want to get your commitment. Have you not decided to identify the position you want? Because this is an opportunity for you to tell the leaders of your party that apart from the woman leader position, give us compulsorily this seat. Let it be for women.
You compared us with an opposition party. So
I just made an inference.
Okay, the reference just made my response very, I don't know, but I'll have to respond to you. That is why we are not the PDP. For us at the APC, tomorrow, after our gathering, which will be coming up with our resolutions and what exactly we'll be going out for, we'll definitely be occupying more seats than the national woman leader position. I can assure you that. And I know the leaders of our party are listening. They have always listened. Today, they listened to us. And I'm sure during their consultation and their processes, women are part of the consultation and part of the stakeholders of the party will definitely be given what we want. The only thing right now is this. I'm sure we've never actually been determined to get what we want. Now we are ever more determined to get what we want, and we will get it.
Stella Okocheta, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm always very excited when I have a female guest on the program because oftentimes female politicians don't like to come up and speak, but we need more women to speak up in our politics and in every aspect of our national endeavor. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you the very best.
And I'll gist you after our convention how many seats we get.
I wish you the very best. I look forward to that. Thank you so much. But that's our show, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.